My life has changed substantially since I started being able to work on my own. And big things that have changed is just having more time.
What's up, guys? Today we have special guest Joel Waltz. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here.
Dude, so I want to jump into this immediately. So you just started wholesaling. Mm-hmm. Your first deal, you made $100,000.
Yes.
Number one, congratulations, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Dude, I mean, it's crazy because when I was working as a software developer, I made about roughly around 80 to 90 grand a year. That was my whole year salary, right? I worked 40 hours a week, sometimes more, for 52 weeks. I don't know how it's 1,000 hours, whatever that is. And at the end of it, I took home, let's say $90,000, right? 80,000, depends on what year.
Right.
But then in one transaction, you made $100,000 from a wholesale. And you didn't flip a house, you didn't put in any renovations, you just flipped a contract, which is that's insane.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're speaking to the choir. I literally just got out of my W-2 job where I was making around anywhere from $95,000 to $100,000 a year, just depending on bonuses.
Yeah.
And literally, with this wholesaling, I was able to just lock down a contract and then be able to sell that contract for $100,000. I mean, it was funny too, because I hear people like Ryan and stuff talking about these $100,000 deals, right? And you're like, oh, that's never gonna happen, And then, I mean, sure enough, it was a phone call, and I mean, I was just literally talking to her just normally, trying to figure out what's going on, and I was like, so what are you hoping to sell this for?
So wait, we'll break down the story, but I mean, just to break down this whole concept, I think, of this first deal. I think just like you, I would go to these seminars and things, and people I made $20,000, $30,000 on a single deal. Right. And I genuinely, when I heard that, I was like, that's BS.
Right.
And that's if that did happen, which maybe is possible, it's 1 out of 1,000. There's not everybody's gonna do this, right? And then later on, when I started to get into the investing world, there was other flippers in the market that they made, let's say $100 grand or something on a deal. I was like, that's amazing. I would never reach that, but it's so far out of reach of what's possible for me. Yeah. But that's really cool. But it's crazy. Now you're a normal cool dude. You're just getting started. Your very first wholesale deal, $100,000.
Right. I mean, it is because, I mean, for me, when I had to work so hard. I was working 70 hours a week. Mm-hmm. I was putting in extra time. I was doing all these things to try and get this 95,000.
Yeah.
And then to hear these things people are making even 30,000 on a deal. I'm like, holy crap. So I could do 5 deals and make more than I'm making, it
doesn't, money doesn't even seem real at a certain point, right? It's almost like this is monopoly money, right? It's kind of crazy.
Right. And it's almost like you're too good to be true, or, that it works for other people. You know what I mean? And to be on this side of it where you're like, wow, I can actually put forth this knowledge that I know to be able to make this amount of money. Yeah. And it's mind-boggling, yeah. So
walk me through, how did you find the deal? How did the whole thing actually happen?
Okay. So I got a lead pack.
So you joined the Ryan Pineda,
I was an all-star for about a year. Okay. So I've been an all-star.
Okay. So you joined the Ryan Pineda's coaching program or mentorship. Yes. And then you got this thing called a lead pack. Can you explain what that is?
So the lead pack is something that it's leads that were generated by Ryan Pineda's team, but only for they got the information submitted to them within that week.
Okay.
So it was a quick, it wasn't like they've been sitting or, it's been a long time. They got them quick.
When we're talking about leads, we're talking about online form submission. So he's running some online ads. Someone's like, hey, I want to sell my house. Right. They submit their information. And then he basically takes all the leads that the team didn't get in touch with, or maybe they did, or whatever it is, packages them together, and they call it lead. It's almost like trading cards, right? They're lead packs.
That's exactly right.
And then you buy these lead packs, and then now you have people who you can call, right?
Right. And then he also sells them to 3 other people. Okay. So you're you got a deadline kind of
That's
thing.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that. So so basically he's selling these packs of leads or sellers to you and maybe 3 other people. So I mean, like if you're lazy and you don't get to it, the other guys are gonna like hit these leads and hit them first.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
I felt a lot of pressure right when I bought the pack to like get it like moving right away, because like I know that these lead packs have to go through Ryan Pineda's team first. Okay. They touch them first.
Okay.
And if they can't get a hold of anybody, they sell them.
Okay. Okay.
And so they sell them for $1,000 for 50 leads.
That's like dirt cheap, right? So
it is, but but
if
you don't get anything from it, it's like you're throwing away.
But like, just for some context, in our market, like one lead costs us about $1,500 for one lead, right? But you're getting a pack of 50.
Right.
I mean, some of them could be trash, but like if you just maybe like
one, that's all I was shooting for. That literally what convinced me is it's like maybe I can find one, and that might be that 20,000. Because if I can get a $20,000 deal
on a return of 1,000, right, then that's a good ROI.
Right.
Sure.
And then that'll help me buy more and more and more.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like I literally I import the pack and basically start reading or start going down the list, and I didn't even text anybody because normally it automatically texts and people just wait for them to respond.
Okay.
I was just calling through the list.
Okay.
Probably about 15 into the list.
So these are a pack of 50 that you bought.
Right.
Was it your first pack or your?
Yeah, it was my first
pack. Okay. So you bought
literally,
a pack of 50.
I just bought it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's so crazy. It's the way we're talking about it. It sounds like we're trading cards. Like,
no, I know. It sounds exactly like a baseball.
Pack, you have 50, so you're calling through the list. These are 50 leads. Number 15.
Number 15-ish, whatever. I didn't count exactly. But I got on the phone with her, and I, just start talking to her and kind of figuring out what the situation was. She was living in a house that she couldn't afford. It was her uncle's. He was like a multimillionaire, and she was not. And she was just helping him out.
I see.
So
you couldn't afford the mortgage.
Couldn't afford. Well, no, the mortgage was paid for. It was the HOA costs, the utilities. It was just too much house.
So it was free and clear, but it was too much house to upkeep, and also like there's extra expenses associated with it.
Right, and they weren't. You could tell they weren't used to nice things, and this place was like on. Literally, like you go out the back door and right around the corner is a golf course.
I see.
It was like really
it's crazy that it was an uncomfortable place for them to live, right? So like whatever their standard, the people that they are aware of. Once you kind of go to a new place, now people maybe they look at you different, or you feel like you have your self-conscious, different things. So she was in a very uncomfortable spot with this new house.
So it was not something that she wanted to stay, and so. They basically told me, I'm like, okay, so I was looking it up online, and I was seeing probably, anywhere from like $450 to $480.
Or like on Zillow estimate.
Yeah, just quick search.
Okay.
And I was like, so I was thinking that they're probably gonna say like what, 400 or something like that. Yeah. I asked her, so how much are you looking for? And she's like, I'm looking for something between 300 and 400,000.
Okay.
And I was like, that is a huge,
that's a big difference,
there's a huge gap there. Yeah. And I didn't say that to her. I was just like, okay, well, that sounds possible. And then we start talking about it. We start, I ask them about the condition, what's going on with the property. It basically just been lived in. And they had some dogs and some stuff that were...
So it wasn't in terrible condition. It was like probably average condition, most likely.
Probably would have cost, for fix and flip or something, probably would have cost like $10,000 to fix it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing really...
What market is this in?
So it was in Ohio, but it was like something like Forest Grove, Ohio. And it was like... it was a nice area. Very nice area. And like... I had just talked to her. She was really uncomfortable living in this. It was really nice. It was out of her comfort zone.
Sure.
And she had given me this wide range of $300,000 to $400,000, and I was like, "That's huge."
Yeah.
And so I was trying to get kind of a feel for how she felt about the property, what she felt like she, and
first, question for you: have you ever talked to sellers before? Is this your first experience?
This was my first direct to sellers.
Okay, so you never had any? Did you have any training or anything before this? How were you just kind of winging it?
Well, I knew what so I'd done fix and flips, and I've done, rental properties.
Okay,
so
okay.
At least I had some background on
Just
how much
the real estate
something
in general would
right,
cost, yeah.
how much it would cost to do the things she was mentioning.
Got it, yeah.
Like if she would have said that like there was wall rot and I would have had a different scope of work.
Sure.
But just quickly in my head, the things that she was naming off, I was able to see like if it was a good deal or a bad deal. And so I didn't feel uncomfortable, but I also had never talked to anybody selling their house before. And I ultimately, once I get further in the story, like I really didn't know what I was doing at all.
Okay.
And so I ended up calling on somebody else because I had gotten on the phone with her. I was talking to her. I was getting this range from her. And I said, well, because I didn't have any contracts ready or anything like that.
You're brand new. Or like
I was literally just testing out the waters, thinking I wasn't going to get anything.
Let's just see what happens kind of thing, right? I love it.
I was putting in my reps, just trying to get a feel for it. And I was like, and then this massive like whale gets on the line and I'm like, uh-oh, like I'm not ready for any of this. I get off the phone and I call somebody from the program and they are like, well, we can help you out. And just be a little bit of a fee split. But one thing that we could do is we make sure it closes, make sure everything goes right. And so he helped me with being able to get the contract to them. He helped me be able to like walk me through the whole sales of it.
So when you say help you walk through it, is he like coaching you while you're on the call?
We were all on the call together.
Okay, so the three of you were on the call together. Okay.
And we were just, because it was like I had gotten to the point where they're ready to sign something.
Saw it. I got you.
But I didn't have it.
They have a price in mind already?
No.
Okay.
So when we got on the phone, I was thinking maybe I would say like 350 because it's like right in the middle of 350.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, he was like, well, let's go a little bit lower, and he gave out the number of 319,500.
Okay, is there a reason why like so round, like
because
exact?
People are more likely to say yes when you say random numbers because it sounds like you've done calculations to come up with this number.
I see.
And it's the lowest that you're going to be able to go.
So it sounds more like a legit number or more thought out process.
Right.
So if you were to say 350, then it sounds like you're kind of throwing like spaghetti against the wall. Right. Because it's like $319,500.67.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's like, it sounds like a more of a legit offer.
Right.
Okay.
Got you. So then she was like, and we were thinking this was going to be a novation.
Okay.
So we ended up.
Can you explain what a novation is?
Okay. So novation was. It's basically a fix and flip without actually buying the property. The way that I like to look at it. You're taking on the property and you're going to fix it or do whatever you need to do to it to get it ready to be able to put on the market. After you sell it, you give a certain number to what you were going to buy it for.
Sure.
They get that X amount of money and then you get whatever extras on top of that.
Got it.
We were originally thinking we were just going to novate it and basically do a little bit of fixing, put it on the market, sell it for, $400 or $450 or something like that. What ended up happening was that she needed to get the money first to be able to move out.
Okay.
And so when that is the case, you can we pivoted it into a wholesale. And wholesaling is just basically you're going to give them X amount of money. This is the amount that you're going, and it's a cash offer.
Got it.
Quick sale, quick, fast money.
No inspections, very convenient.
Very convenient for them. But in order to do that, it's lower in price. So we went back to her and we told her, that yes, we can do this for you. And yes, you can get an extra month of living there free, basically, with the money in your pocket.
Sure.
If you can lower the price.
Sure.
And so we gave her the price of, we started at $250. She's like, I can't do that. And she's like, $270.
Okay.
And I'm like, and that's still a great deal.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we said, okay, we locked it in for that $270. And then when we ended up within like a day of having it on the market.
So walk me through the process. And so you're on the phone with your other buddy and her on the phone. Mm-hmm. So is he negotiating or are you negotiating?
We're both doing it.
Okay. So who offered the $250?
I'm more of the good cop. He's more of the bad cop kind of thing, you know?
Okay.
And he offered the $250.
Okay.
And then I was just kind of waiting to see what her response was. And then she's like, I have to do like 275, 280 or something like even higher.
Okay.
And he's like, well, how about 270? And then she actually ended up getting off the phone, calling me separately, crying because she was like so upset about it or something. And I was just like, you know, working because he's very stern and he was being a little bit more aggressive.
The way that he's like coming across and stuff. Okay.
So I was being more of the, you know, good.
Okay.
I cared about. She was a nice person. She didn't, you know, and I was like, we're not trying to be too pushy. We're not trying to do, we have good intentions. We're trying to make it so that you can get this money and you can move out and have a place to live. And she ended up signing the paperwork and we ended up getting it locked in for 270.
Okay. What did the conversation look like when she called you separately? Like, so what did you tell her and what was she asking about?
So she was asking like, she's like, I feel so bad. Like, I feel bad that I'm asking for this amount of money and that, you know, like, I feel like we're, you know, like he's disappointed in me. And I'm like,
I see.
It really came down to that they're not used to negotiating for big price things. Yeah. And so when they're trying to stand up for themselves, they felt bad that they were standing up and trying to be. Yeah. And so what I was trying to say was just like, have confidence in what you're saying. 270, say that's your bottom line. This is it. And
so you're almost like kind of coaching her on that side. So it's kind of like he's on that side and you're like, hey, you're trying to help her on her side.
Right.
Okay. And very interesting.
This whole time I did really care about I just knew she was in a position where she couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
She was going to end up losing the house.
Yeah.
She was going to end up foreclosed on. They were going to take the property and then all of this stuff. And so since I knew that we needed to get this done quick.
Got it. Yeah, sure.
And the only way we're going to be able to sell something is if we can get it in a very enticing value.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
And so it just so happened that we were able to get it low enough so that it was even lower. So we ended up, what we ended up doing is he ended up putting it on Facebook, and it ended up, he put it at the value.
What did you guys originally think? I mean, like typically when you're trying to negotiate these things, right? It's there's a kind of like a spread that you're trying to make, but then sometimes like your spread's right, sometimes it's way too high, sometimes it's lower than you expect, right? So in this particular case, what did you guys think you would be able to sell it for on the original like wholesale?
So at the Novation, we thought we were going to be able to sell it for probably around $450.
For the Novation, right?
For the Novation.
But for the wholesale?
The wholesale, which means, I got to preface this.
Sure.
Wholesales take way longer.
Okay.
They could take anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 months, just depending on how fast it takes to sell. For a Novation.
Okay, for Novation.
Novation.
Okay, yeah, sure,
I apologize if I said that wrong. But a wholesale, you can get your money very quickly.
Yeah,
and it closes very quickly.
Yeah. So you're selling to another investor who's either gonna fix and flip it or hold it as a rental. You don't know what they're gonna do. But basically, you're looking for like another buyer, right?
Right.
Okay.
So the reason I say that, to take a little bit less money, and to be able to do it within 2 weeks rather than 4 months.
Yeah.
It's worth doing that. Gotcha. And so I might have been able to make a little bit more on the Novation side if I would have stuck there, but we ended up getting this into this wholesale and we ended up still making decent money.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, when you guys, like, what did you think like you could sell it for on the wholesale side? Was it like 300, 350? What do you think you could sell it for?
I thought we were going to be 380, 390.
Okay.
That was my interpretation.
Sure. Okay.
His interpretation was right around 370.
Okay.
It was his market. He knew the market
a
lot better. But I mean, literally within less than 24 hours of us posting it, it was sold.
Okay.
So
it was a good deal. Like that ended up being a great deal for somebody. Was it to a flipper or to a rental property?
It was a flipper.
Okay.
But he was gonna buy it and live in it.
Okay, so it wasn't really like a flip property. It was like for owner occupied.
And he knew it was a hell of a deal.
Sure.
Because it was ARV we were seeing right around the area that literally just sold.
Sure.
For like 470, 480.
Okay.
So he's literally buying it for $100,000 cheaper, and all he has to do is $10,000.
Okay, and repairs and fixing it up. Okay,
right.
Okay. So you guys get on the contract for $270. Okay.
We literally have it. We put it out on the market, and literally within less than 24 hours, it's sold. It's signed.
When you say sold, it's like somebody you talk to another buyer.
Yes.
You sign it to another buyer.
Yes.
Okay.
And we added a sign for $370, and then it was just the closing process. Literally, it was just going through title and getting them to fill out the paperwork.
So the way like it works logistically is, let's say you sign a contract with the seller, you guys agree on a price. Then do you open escrow at that point in time?
Yep.
So you open escrow, an escrow company. Then you're advertising it through your network, Facebook, wherever it is, like your buyers list. You find somebody who wants to buy it at a specific price.
Right.
You sign a separate contract with that person.
Right.
And then like now you go back to escrow and you're basically playing the middleman between like the buyer and the seller.
Basically, it's like the stock market where you buy it at one price and then you sell it at another.
Yeah, and you find another seller, right? Or another buyer, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
And so then the difference is what your profit is.
So in this particular case, you said you didn't know the market? This wasn't your market?
This wasn't my market. This was lead packs are nationwide.
Okay.
So you don't get to choose where it is.
Got you.
So I just so happened to know somebody that was living in that area.
Market. Okay.
And he had a business that was thriving on doing the same thing, wholesaling.
So he was aware he had a buyer's list. He was aware of like the values of the property and things. So that's why when he came in to help you out, it was a really big.
It was really in both of our interests because he had all of the intelligence, and I had this screaming deal.
Yes.
So it was like he was super happy that I brought it to his attention, and he was telling me, he's like, a normal wholesale in my area, I'm making 20 grand. Like, that's a good deal, 20, 30 grand. And the fact that I was going to split some of this with him, he was already, through the roof. So,
Awesome. Okay. So then you guys get the contract signed for the buyer. Then what's next up in the process?
Literally, just the closing company takes over. Title takes over.
They basically run the transaction for you from that point in time.
Literally, we just make sure that we're getting the sellers to fill out all the paperwork they need to fill out, and the buyers, we need to make sure that they're getting the loans or whatever they need to do. Yeah. And it was literally, we got locked down on the 17th of December. And it was closed by the 31st.
Wow, so like about 2 weeks closing time. And then, so during that period, are you ever scared, like, hey, this is going to fall out or anything? Or
I thought for sure. Like, I was like, there's no way this is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, because I just had not experienced anything like this. So it was like, when is the next shoe going to drop? When are they going to be like, oh, actually, we're not going to sell this, or something. Yeah. And it went so smoothly. And
so when you at the very end, when you guys at the very end, does escrow just cut you a check for the 100? How does that work?
Yeah, just deposited directly into
your bank account.
Yep.
So how did it feel when you got that $100,000 check into your bank account?
I was just like, it was surreal. You know what I mean? But like, what it ended up doing is, it ended up making it so that I could invest more in my business and start doing more of these. And since then, it's just exploded. You know what I mean? So it's like, one, it taught me that I'm really good at sales. I'm really good at talking with direct to sellers. Two, it gave me that confidence boost. And then three, it took that big weight off my shoulder of like, how long will it take for me to get my first paycheck on this?
Got it.
I felt like from that point on, I'm on house money. So
you're playing with house money,
right? So. Nothing else I could do. Like,
so you could buy like 100 lead packs basically, and like you're like break even. So at that point,
exactly. So it was like it was a lot of less stress. Felt really good, and plus, I've never even met anybody that's made $100,000 in 2 weeks, let alone like me being that person. You know what I mean? Yeah, I unbelievable. Put it that way.
So you close this $100,000 deal, and then like it's kind of like the boost that you need to kind of start like number one is like proof of concept, but also it's like a great kind of like Kickstarter to kind of start your wholesale operation or career. At this point in time, it's just you by yourself.
Just me by myself.
You just started. You're getting some traction.
Yeah.
What's kind of like the next step in like the process after that?
So right now, I kind of just it wasn't just like lightning struck. Like
sure.
I've gotten 3 other deals on the line that could possibly potentially make around $80,000.
Okay. Each or
each.
So like that's basically like $240,000 in the pipeline right now. Congratulations, bro. It's I mean like it's so crazy because like I mean I talked to you like we had some sidebar conversations. You're like a very likable, normal dude. Like you know like I mean like you don't strike me as like a huge businessman. I mean like in the best way. Like you know I'm not trying to be a dick. Like
no,
like,
I'm not.
You're like a cool. You're humble. Like
right.
you're chill. Like you know like super nice guy. Just closed $100,000 like first deal. You got 240 in the pipeline right now. And like, but it's so. I mean, I'm just trying to like wrap my head around this because there's so many other people I meet who are just like you, but then like they struggle to get their first deal, you know. But like you have like something rolling here that's really working really well, like you know.
I think really what it comes down to is just genuineness.
Mm-hmm.
They can feel when I talk to them that I'm literally like trying to serve them and try and give them the best value for what they have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that I can't make my value as well.
Yeah.
It just means that I'm genuinely trying to help them through the situation that they're in.
Because in this case of the seller, she got to live in it for a month after she got her cash.
Yep.
Which allowed her to have some time to shop for somewhere else.
Right. She ended up buying another house.
Yeah, okay.
And she ended up moving into that house, and it was paid off, and she could afford it.
You know when like the closing table, when like they're signing all the documents, can she see how much that you made in a signing fee?
She couldn't on a wholesale.
Okay.
But the buyer
can see. So yes. Was the buyer like what was this
he was like, are you kidding me? You can't do anything less than that. And we're like, you're getting a hell of a deal, man. Yeah. There's no way that you could if the buyer would have backed out, we would have just done a fix and flip on it. Like we had it all set.
Yeah. I mean, this is an interesting point too, because I think a lot of times when you start counting other people's money, that's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
I know when I started as a investor, I bought from wholesalers, and then I actually I don't know anything about the industry, but it upset me when like a wholesaler made too much money off of like something that I'm gonna buy. And I don't know, like it's just like my naivety.
Right.
Nowadays I'm like, I want them to make as much as they can, because as long as it's a deal for me and I can make money on a fix and flip, I'm happy to pay like 100, take $1 million. I don't care as long as the number works for me, you know. But at the time, I think it's also, I think, like either scarcity or abundance of like where like you feel like there's like a limited number of deals or resources.
Right.
So if somebody is taking too much, it feels like there's less for you.
Right.
But the reality is there's just so much available that like even if they take $100,000, there's like $1 billion left that's available for you. You know.
And we were given a scream of a deal. Like, so it's like, how can you can't. I used to have that mentality too, where I was thinking, because I bought it from a wholesaler and I found out that they made $50,000 and I only made $30,000 on it.
Like flipping it, right? So,
but the numbers made sense.
Yeah.
And it didn't really matter what they were making, because if they weren't there doing what they were doing, I would have never gotten that deal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even I got over it quickly in the sense of, if I'm that upset about it, I won't get the deal in the first place. So
everybody has like their role to play in the chain of things, right? So like if you look at like anything, like let's say there's like the like this shirt you're wearing, right? Like, so there's farmers somewhere like in like, I don't know, Southeast Asia, they're growing or whatever, like the cotton, right? Whatever. So like they're picking it, and then they sell it to like, let's say like a guy comes in, he buys all the cotton. He like wholesales it to like another guy for a small profit, right? Or a big profit, whatever it is. Next guy takes it, he manufactures it, puts it together. He puts it together in his sweatshop or whatever the thing is, right? And then like he sells it to like the distributor in America. The guy sells it to another guy, sells it to another guy, and there's this whole chain of people in the process. Right. And then like there are certain guys who are making a bigger chunk, and some guys who are making a smaller chunk through that train. But then as long as you can buy the shirt for like $20 or whatever it is, like you don't really care. It's to count everybody else's money, right? So, but when
I think it's a lot less stressful to not look at other people's money either. Because it's like, ultimately you have to run your own business and you have to run your own numbers and what is acceptable for you. And I'm, for that $100,000, for every $100,000, there's going to be 50 other deals that I didn't get, anything. So, I mean, it's nice to see both sides. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is a lot of people think that, hey, like you're being greedy by taking too much profit. But at the same time, there's a lot of deals that you put in time and energy, effort, and marketing, and you get $0 back.
Nothing. They back out.
We've done things where we pay people's mortgages for them. We've done a lot of these things, and it's like costs us a lot of money. There's employees or different things that you're paying for. I mean, like at a certain level, right?
Right.
But then down the line, like so you're gonna be actually negative, and nobody is stepping in to give us or pay us back for those costs, right? So those are hidden and sunken costs, and so sometimes when you're making a profit, you also have to take into account the bigger picture of. Right. This is like a business, right? At the end of the day, we're negotiating for like a great deal. We want to make sure that the person is in a good spot when they're selling. But at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And there's gonna be home run deals and there's gonna be stinkers. Yep. Sometimes, hopefully, it evens out to positive for you at the end of the day, right?
Right. So. And sometimes you, like I said, I've had fix and flips where I've lost money on it. It's not guaranteed just because this system works. It's gonna work every single time. And so. For me, I've just been, I mean, it's the grace of God. Like, I mean, he puts this stuff in front of me so that I'm able to have these opportunities. But it is important to count your blessings, but also know that you have to know that you are saving up for the next and building the rest of this. Yeah. And all of that money, none of that went back into my pocket and I went and bought a Ferrari with it. Yeah. It was all reinvesting back in the business.
But just to be clear, if you decide to do that, you can do that, right? Yeah. But it's just like, at this point, it's your money. But as an investor, as a business owner, you're like, hey, I want to reinvest this into the future. But if you want to just buy something nice for yourself, like it's your money to do with what you want, right?
It could have been that could have been done.
So I mean, the fix and flipper can't really count your money. Like it's at the end of the day, it's like when, like you mentioned, is when you start to count other people's money, it gets very dangerous. Yes. And so.
I agree, and not a lot of people see it like that. I have quite a few friends that still get upset about looking at the wholesale deal and how much they're making. But I mean,
I'm guilty of this when I first started too, and so it really matters on like what end of the spectrum you're at. So I think I look at a lot of things like in business before I was a W-2 employee, and I was working like my job, right? So I was a software developer. I made let's say $80,000 a year, right? Make $40 an hour, and the company pissed me off for let's say $200 an hour. I'm like, this is a ripoff, man. The company's making so much, and I'm only getting there's such a huge delta. And I'm making only this much. And as an employee, I was like, this upsets me. Like, this is not fair, right? Now as a business owner, I see there's marketing, there's risk, there's all this overhead that you're paying that the employee doesn't see from that perspective. And so when you see the bigger picture, actually this is absolutely fair. They should probably make more than the 200, right. But I mean, obviously there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it's hard to have a good perspective of it until you've been on kind of both sides,
I couldn't agree more. I was literally just thinking about this the other day where I worked for, we made plane parts. So turbine engine parts, that's what we did. And I was making that 95, but I knew they were making millions and millions. Yeah, I was selling my group was selling $10 million a quarter.
Wow.
And I was like, why am I not getting, what the heck, but until you're on that other side and you see all these hidden costs, because it's not like my boss was going to me and telling me, well, there's all these costs, there's all this, that, it was that all you get to see is what you're seeing in front of you, and you're producing this amount. But when you're on the other side and you're seeing, I have to spend money on marketing, I have to spend money on, and there's no guarantee.
That's the biggest thing
that it's going to turn into
the
money.
Thing is when you're starting a business, there's a huge upside, but there's no guarantee, and it can be very negative, right? So the reason why you're starting a business or doing this thing is because you want to have an outsized return.
Right.
But in the very beginning, you have a super, super negative or even very tiny return, but you're gambling or you're investing in this period of time where you're going to make it 0 or negative so that in the future you can have an outsized return. Right. But when somebody comes in and they just see the outsized return, they're like, that's not fair.
Right.
So like at that point in time, it's not quote unquote fair. But then like that's the way the process works, where like it also wasn't fair for you to make nothing when you're working your butt off for like I mean like you started early. Like I worked for like a long time and got made nothing when I first started. Like it took me 9 months to get my first deal, right? And I'm like working like my butt off through this on my first deal in Hawaii anyway. But then but nobody's like giving me any money for like that time I'm spending there, right? So when I make an extra, let's say like a lot of money for like a short period of time now, people say like that's not fair for you to make that much, and it's really not. I mean honestly, I feel like it's unfair to live in America, but I mean that's a whole other story. But then like
I don't know though. I don't know because I mean you're thinking about it like even in the simplest terms when I was doing fix and flips before I was doing this.
Sure.
Like I was taking on to get a loan to buy this property. So that literally if the property wouldn't have worked out, I still owed that money. Like $300,000, I could have lost all of that money if I didn't do it right. You know what I mean?
What I mean is like it's just by living in America, it's already unfair. Like just that we get to grow up, right? We're not oppressed. Like there's like we don't have to worry about starvation, about like dictator things. Like just living here, we're already it's super unfair for the rest of the world. Like I'm just saying, like life is so unfair.
Yeah.
Like, when you're looking at fairness, right? And so it's all subjective. It's all relative. Everything is relative, right? And so for us, I'm like, dude, like if I have enough to eat, I have like a decent health, like life is super unfair in my favor. Like you know what I'm saying? So I mean, if you're looking for that,
America, we have a lot of blessings, and and God gives us a lot of blessings when we're born. I didn't ask to have certain things given to me, but we get certain blessings, and it's like. The big difference between a miserable person and a non-miserable person is gratitude. Gratitude for the things that you have. I mean, you could have all the money in the world, and if you're not grateful for it, you're miserable. So, like, just getting that idea, like, wherever you're born, whatever you're doing, if you have that, if you can instill that gratitude inside of your body, I mean, it just makes your whole world bright. You know what I mean? And so I think that. I could have been born in a different area or a different thing, but I almost wouldn't want to know about America if I was born in a situation, another situation, because it's like, okay, I could still be grateful for this because it's like I still have my family or I still have this or I still have that.
That's where like, a lot of it is like, I think it's like your own personal, whatever it is, where like, you can still know about these other things. And so like now it's crazy because as we're going to these different conferences, we see these other guys who are making millions a month, right? Like these crazy insane guys. But but I'm still super grateful for what I have. Like, you know, just like my measly little whatever small business that we have. Like I'm like honestly, but the thing is like even when I was making very little as a developer, I was still grateful. Like, you know, like that. I mean, there honestly like I was like, hey, how come this is not fair? But I'm so grateful, like, you know, like at that point in time. But just now being on the business side, I understand quote unquote fairness.
Right.
You know?
It is funny too because it's like my life has changed substantially since I started being able to work on my own, and big things that have changed is just having more time. Like it's so I'm able to do the work that I need to be done quickly, and then I have this extra time to go and work out, to take care of my health, to do all of these other things that I didn't have the time to do when I was working 70 hours. When I was working 70 hours a week, I would come home and all I wanted to do was sleep. And then the weekends, I just wanted to recoup. And if I wasn't pulled into work. Now I have this life that there is a lot of risk that I'm taking on, but there's so much more reward that I'm like, that I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to have a life now rather than not having a life and still like, it was like, felt like I was scraping by. You know?
It's like this cycle though, because like when you're working so much to get by, right? And you have no time, energy, you have like no like space to think and kind of plan and like do something else, right? But now that you have like you have some like let's say some security and some funds in your savings account, and you can kind of like the cash allows you to take more risk,
right?
So you can like make more bets on marketing, on maybe hiring somebody or whatever it is. But it also allows you to have more like free time to think, to work out, to eat healthier. I mean, there's a lot of things that is like this safety net does for you, so you can prepare your life for it. But there's two ways you can go about it. You can either use all the security and these things to like build yourself better, be in better shape, eat better, and then invest in yourself,
yeah,
or you can just live for pleasure, right? You can just just go to the casino.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's two ways you can take it once you kind of hit this quote unquote lottery, and so it's very refreshing to see that you've kind of chosen the path of now that I have the security blanket, let me improve myself, buy back my time, let me see how I can build this more in the future, and now like it's just like you're on this upward trajectory.
I think the big thing comes down to for me, it's there's happiness and fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And really, like, the big thing is that happiness is temporary.
Sure.
Fulfillment can last for a lifetime. And so it's like, I could go live in Hawaii and, spend all of that money and I'll have that happiness for a short period of time, right? Okay. I'm not doubting that you're living in Hawaii.
I get where you're going.
But like a tropical island or something, I could spend all of the money that I have and I could go enjoy this, this short period of time. But with the way that I live my life is that I want to have that long-term fulfillment. And with a fulfilling life, you have challenge. Mm-hmm. And so I want to find the thing that challenges me that's fun. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that's it's got challenge to it and it's got risk and all that, but it's almost thrilling to me, that whole thing. So yeah, I think that when you're looking at like life as like that fun and fulfillment type of thing, happiness is just short term. Fulfillment lasts for the whole thing. So
that's a really interesting thought. I think it's like to kind of like break this down. I think that it's hard to be fulfilled without at least a little bit of challenge. Absolutely. Or like challenge, right? So like if life is too easy, there's no fulfillment in it,
Nothing.
Like let's say like I want to like win a basketball game, right? So if I'm playing against like 6th graders, and like I swat the crap out of these guys, I'm like there's nothing they can do against me, right?
You're right.
It would be like so easy. I'd be the champion, but it wouldn't be fulfilling.
Right.
Let's take something else into context. Let's say I play other guys my age, right? We're all the same thing, or maybe younger dudes, right, who are like more athletic. And then I take that challenge. It's way more challenging. It requires me to get in shape. I gotta practice. I gotta watch film. I gotta do all these things. But then if I do succeed, it's way more fulfilling than like swatting 6th graders.
Right. It's like a win is not a win. Not every win is equal. Yeah. You know what I mean? And for you to be able to feel like substantial or good, you set these boundaries, these things for yourself, and you say, all right, I need to be achieving this, and in that achievement and setting goals, you're fulfilling your purpose and what. And so I'm glad that I wasn't born rich. I'm glad I wasn't born with everything given to me, because it's like I almost feel like I wouldn't appreciate the things that I have if I wouldn't have gone through the struggle to get those things. And that, I think, comes with that.
I think you actually really have to take a step back and like really like think about this, because like even for my life right now, our business is going through some challenges. Like, I'm not grateful for this. Like in the moment, I'm like literally, I'm like, dude, why are these guys like? Why are these people like this? Like, why is this happening? This is not fair. Like this is like that. I mean, there's tons of things in our business that is not quote unquote fair. Like like people are not doing their part. Like we're going above and beyond, whatever. But then when you take a step back, the way that you're describing or kind of framing it is the challenges that we're going through all unfairness is actually a huge blessing, and it's actually making my life more fulfilling now that I'm facing the challenges. So I literally should be very grateful for all like the trash and the things that we're facing now as a company.
I like the way you're putting it. Like I like that. I like that way of putting it, because when you're in it, I like to say the saying, it's very hard to see the forest when your face is against a tree. And it's so true, because like when you're like right there, you can't see the whole big picture. And when you step back and you're able to actually see the ups and downs, if you didn't have those downs, you wouldn't understand what an up is, let alone be grateful for it. So like, I agree that in the middle of it, you're like, it's not fair. But
the thing is, like there's a lot of things in life that are not fair, and 100%, but they're not supposed to be fair.
There is no fair.
I think the thing is, like, you just have to realize that like it's not supposed to be fair, right? So like
it's just perspective. I mean, to a person living in China and there's a 10.0 earthquake that destroys their house, that's not fair and it sucks. But to the earth, it was an earthquake that needed the tectonic plates to like blah, blah, blah. So it's like from the perspective of the earth, it was nothing. But from the perspective of that person that lost their house, it's not fair. So like it all is about perspective. And so that's why in my life, what I'm trying to do on a regular basis, I'm reading books to try and adjust my perspective so that I have a happier life. It's just like what I was saying with gratitude and happiness. It's like the perspective is what gives you that gratitude.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's really hard to change the world, but it's a lot easier to change the perspective of the way you see it, the filter.
So just thinking this right now is like, you mentioned you're a Christian. So I mean, like, I think there was a sermon recently where a pastor was talking about, like, you have to forgive other people because of the debt that you are forgiven, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think, like, the big thing is, if we realize how much we've been given by God, just being created, but also the forgiveness of sins that He's given for us, like, on the cross, right? Yeah. Then, like, there's, in comparison to that big picture, there's nothing that is unfair. It's always like more than fair in our favor, right? So you can have, like, everything bad can happen to you, but in the grand scheme of this bigger perspective, you are super, super, super lucky considering everything, right? So,
and that's that gratitude. And that is literally, gratitude is a superpower. Like, I mean, it truly is. If you can feel it, if you can harness that, if you can wake up every morning and find things that you're grateful for, literally every day can be blissful. Because literally there's no difference between the day if you were grateful or were grateful. Same stuff might happen. Yeah. But you're literally going to have a completely different day. You know what I mean? The same influences but it's one, you're able to be content and fulfilled. The other, nothing is good enough.
You know what also happens too, I think, is when you're grateful is that you can think clearer.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when I feel like things are unfair or I start to get bitter at things, now your mind's just like negative, right? It's like this negative spiral.
And you're
attracting. And then you make worse decisions. Yeah. Whereas, like, when you're grateful, you're thinking more of like a long-term perspective, and then you're just able to make clearer, better decisions, which ultimately spiral upwards, and your life ultimately goes in an upward trajectory. But it's like also like science, right? It's like, okay, like, life is going upwards because you're making better decisions because you can think clearer.
So it's like this upward, rolling like a snowball effect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like abundance, living in abundance or living in lack. You know, when you're living in lack, you treat others as like, I got to steal this from you to be able to take it for myself. Yeah. Which, like, in an evolutional point, the strong survive, blah, blah, blah. But in an abundance type, you're going about life in a different way. So everybody in your life is going to have this abundance and this, you're building everybody around you. And so everybody becomes abundant. Yeah. And it's that same type of, it's that snowball effect. It's when you're grateful, when you're living in abundance, your life just gets consistently better and better and better. And if you start living in this idea that you don't have enough or life isn't fair, then you're going to hurt everybody around you and you're going to spiral in that direction. Life is an amazing thing. It's just, it's until I'm like 40, right? Okay. Until I get a little bit older is when I actually start seeing all of these different perspectives and stuff. Yeah. And so, and I've been reading books and books about like different types of things, the way you can see the world.
It's very cool to see your journey that you're on the upward trajectory. Yeah. But like in our space, there's people who are kind of like the people who are on the top and they're still climbing. Yeah. There's people who are in the middle, they're climbing. There's people who are just kind of like just getting started and they're trying to climb. Sometimes they're facing obstacles. Yeah, absolutely. So like these guys who are, I guess they're struggling and they're having a hard time finding their first deal or kind of getting any traction. What kind of advice would you give to somebody like that?
The way I see it is, okay, so say you have a baby, right?
Okay.
The baby's learning how to walk.
Okay.
And it keeps falling down, right? Okay. It can't figure it out. How long until you quit and give up on that baby?
20 years, maybe. I mean, if
you don't.
You can't walk after 20 years. I mean, sorry, baby. You're just going to stay in the crib. So.
What I mean is you don't give up.
Okay. I got you.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just because the baby keeps falling doesn't mean that it's not going to figure it out.
That's the natural progression of things.
Right. And so really what it comes down to is I might have to adjust my standard of living in ways to adjust to what I'm making. But if I don't give up, I will succeed. I have that faith in myself that I know I'm going to be able to succeed. So it's like the only way I really lose in this whole thing is if I give up. Completely give up and go into something else and don't use any of the tools and things that I've learned. So like right now, like even if I were to lose everything that I have all of this experience that I know where to go and the tools to get and how to utilize. I know way more that I could get to where I am now fast, really fast. So it's that whole idea of the only way I think that you really lose is if you stop learning. You stop taking in the information and trying to learn from the mistakes.
Stop trying to grow, you mean.
Right.
But so how did you have that confidence that you can eventually figure it out when you didn't figure it out yet? You know what I mean?
I think it came down to just life experience. Another great thing that analogy. I love analogies. For me, they're just like,
I hear them coming out. The babies or something. There's a few other.
So one of my biggest analogies that I use is also when I think about it is fear. Right.
Okay.
Fear is the best way that I can describe fear is like imagine a huge wall. Right. A huge wall with like barbed wire and like turrets and like it's like a prison wall. Right. And it's super scary and blah blah blah. Well, it's super scary when you're looking at it, but you walk up to it and you put your hand against it and you push and you realize it's paper thin and you can go right through it. And every time that I go through a fear thing and I face it, even, if it wells up and just so much fear is involved and I face it and I push through it, it just makes it that much more that I can look back and realize, man, I wish I would have done that earlier. And it's every single time.
Yeah.
So when I build those up over and over and over again, it becomes every challenge that I face is just another fear that I have to just push through and adapt and figure it out and, move on, and problem solving and adapting and just all of these things come with just over time facing the hard times.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good point because I feel like we're both a little on the older side. I mean, like relatively, right?
Right.
But then I used to think like, I wish I could start this when I was like 17 or something, right? But I feel like 17-year-old Daniel did not have the life experience or things, and so like there is something to be said about having some life experience as you're going through the entrepreneurial journey. And I think I wouldn't have gotten this far this fast if I was, let's say, like 17 or in my 20s, just because I didn't have like the maturity of like outlook or the track record of myself to see like I think I can do this or to be able to push past some of the barriers
or even the inspiration to do it. Your why now is completely different than your why then.
True, yeah.
So like when you were 17, your why is maybe I can get a little bit of money to go, get a nice car.
It's more like pleasure based. I feel like that, or at least for me, like the younger I am, it's just like you're kind of moving towards pleasure. So like that's like a big part of your why. But as you get older, your perspective expands, like your life experience kind of like changes what you value.
That fulfillment.
And so like now you just see the world differently as we.
Right. Yeah. I think you evolve into this idea that like I've had a lot of happiness in my life and pleasure, but did that last? And then you start kind of going down this journey of what is this really about then? Like, it's not about constant pleasure. It's about figuring out that struggle. And really what I've found is that like, it comes down to like figuring out the thing that you're willing to do the pain of. You know what I mean? Like, so in any pursuit, there's the pain aspect and then the success, right? The cost. And what cost are you willing to put up with and preferably what you like, and finding that and then pursuing that and being successful at that.
I think there's a parable in the Bible, I think, about like counting the cost before you make a decision, right? And I think there's like the story where like these guys are going to war and you say, how much men does that guy have? How much men do I have? Can I afford to go to war with this guy, right? And so like if you can't afford it, then like don't pursue it. And I think a lot of times as an entrepreneur, we don't realize the cost it's going to take, whether it's time, money, resources, stress, relationships with your family, things. But being an entrepreneur, there's a definite cost, especially in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes like people are like, it looks so easy because they see like, Joe made $100,000 like in 2 weeks. Like how hard can it be, right? But then like when they go through it and there's like actually the cost is a lot more than I expected, then they drop out. But when you come into it knowing, okay, this is what the cost is, then like you're willing to pay that price or that cost. Now you guarantee will succeed.
And that's exactly like my best example of that is like looking at like a rock star. A rock star is awesome up on stage, like you wish you could be that person up on stage, rocking out in front of millions and millions of people. But how many times was he sitting at home for hours and hours and hours practicing his guitar and learning his skill and learning his trade, playing for free, just to get his name out there, blah, blah, blah. All of these things that are the pain aspect that you're not winning in those areas. And then to get to those winnings. And it's exactly what this whole thing
I think it's okay if you come to the conclusion like it's just not worth it.
No.
Like, I'm like, hey, I would love to be a rock star, but I
don't want to do that paid.
I see the cost.
Right.
And I'm like consciously going to say this is not for me.
No.
Like, same with being an entrepreneur. Like, so like you get started with it and let's say like, like I didn't realize the cost, but now that I'm going through it, I see what the cost is, and I think this is not for me. There's no shame in saying like this is just not a good equation for me.
And not everybody can be an entrepreneur, because if we did, there would be no business. Because like everybody would be working for themselves. So like it's not a matter of I try and take that judgment out of it, because as an entrepreneur, I think a certain way. And so when I see other people not thinking that way, it's almost like this subconscious like judgment.
I try to say, and it's like, it's terrible. Like you can't, I mean, like you judge people for like not wanting the same things or be willing to pay the same cost that you're willing to pay for.
Right.
And probably athletes are the same way. Like, let's say like you're Kobe Bryant or one of these guys are like, they pay a huge cost to get to where they are. And so like they look down on people who are not willing to pay that cost. I mean, like, it's fair, right? Like for them to look down, but at the same time, like you gotta make sure you don't fall into that trap where just because someone doesn't value that same thing as you, then they're not willing to pay that cost. Doesn't make them less of like a person or less valuable
and less important too, because who's paying for those people to have those nice salaries that paid for all of that extra work that he put in to be able to be that superstar? Like it wouldn't have been as worth it if no one was watching the games. You know what I mean? So like everybody has, just like you were saying before, everybody has their little piece of the puzzle. And I try and step back and try and take those judgments out and be like, appreciate the people for what they are. You know what I mean? Like the guy that's laying bricks every single day for his whole entire life and makes a house, like that house, now somebody gets to live in that house. And so like there's just so many, and that's not better than me. It's just different than what I'm not willing to pay the price of like having my hands working every single day.
I'm too much of a pansy too.
Right. That's not me.
Hands, so.
But that doesn't make me less than him. But in his eyes. And going off on a little bit of a tangent, I think that's the evolution of kind of work these days is people are stepping away from this idea that you have to work really, really hard to have a fulfilling life. Now it's like, how do I figure out a fulfilling life and not have to work and be beat down every single day to have a fulfilling life? Like back when my parents were getting raised, if you weren't working 70 hours a week till your bones are bleeding, you know what I mean? You weren't a good man. And so now it's trying to figure out this, we have all these new benefits to life. How do we become a good man without being, like without doing that same labor? Or war or anything like that.
Dude, well, I mean, Joe, has been super fun chatting, just talking about investing, life. Congrats again on your $100,000 first deal.
Thank you.
But if people want to reach out to you or learn more about you, what's the best place they can do so?
I mean, I'm on Instagram, Joel_Waltz Inspire. You could put it up, but I mean, my company's Waltz Investing LLC, so you can always look me up there. I don't know. I guess I don't really know. I don't have that set yet.
All good, bro. Well, thanks again for coming on. Appreciate you.